Well, we celebrate Earth Day, and I think it's appropriate to do a systems check, kind of get a bird's eye view of how things are going. Buckle your seatbelts. If we take the asteroid eye view up in space, what do we observe? First, observing the atmosphere, we definitely notice that the ice caps are melting. Of course, there's a little bit of an over time perspective, but the planetary temperature is increasing. Permafrost in the polar regions is melting, and those polar regions are warming at a more significant rate than our lower and mid and central latitudes. If we've been watching long enough, over millions of years, we know that Earth's temperature has been much higher, and it's been much lower. There have been times when we've had global ice ages where great polar caps extended into this region and further south. And we also know that there's been times when there's been absolutely no ice for hundreds of millions of years, where global oceans were much deeper than they are today, and many of the continental areas were flooded. So, is this a problem for the climate to be warming? Are human activities influencing that climate change? The profiteers say no, of course. The carbon in the atmosphere today is the highest it has been in 800,000 years and climbing. That's a fact. This carbon trend matches the increase in fossil fuels use since the Industrial Revolution. Another influence on our atmosphere is deforestation. We've been systematically stripping the planet of its lungs for centuries. The cedars of Lebanon disappeared many, many centuries ago, and our appetite for consuming all forests on the earth marches forward unabated. Our old-growth, stable-state forests are carbon sinks and act as buffers to a stable climate. As for affecting our atmosphere and whether or not humans have an impact, the ozone hole is a great model of how humans solved an atmospheric problem. We noticed a problem. There was a growing hole in the ozone. We realized that chlorofluorocarbons were causing that. We stopped producing chlorofluorocarbons, and the ozone hole has repaired itself. So anybody that says that the current issue with carbon in the atmosphere is too big for us to solve is, I think, not terribly well informed or not terribly well inspired. Humans, we came together, we fixed the problem. What else do we notice from this view from space? Well, one thing we probably should recognize right off the bat is it might be more appropriate to call this planet water or planet ocean. So how are our oceans doing? Well, they're full of garbage. They've been searching for a plane in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and they keep finding debris. Not from the plane, it's garbage. In the middle of the Indian Ocean, our coral reefs are dying. They are the centers of biodiversity underwater. Most of our fisheries are in decline. Many have collapsed. The rape of the oceans is not complete without hunting endangered whales. We still have countries hunting whales. Why? For what? If we're not hunting the whales, our use of sonar and ship noises jam and drown out their communication. Whales used to communicate, or can communicate, over hundreds of miles through the ocean without our interference. There are dead zones at the mouths of most major rivers and in many bays, like Chesapeake Bay. How can we think that humans have no impact on planet Earth when dead zones can spread over hundreds of miles of the ocean and garbage covers tens of thousands of acres? One of the reasons for those dead zones is soil erosion. Soil erosion continues unabated, and aids the destruction not only to life in the water, but it compromises our food production on land and the fisheries as well. So that kind of brings us to the earth part of Earth to kind of get a sense of what's going on. We see, and again, from this bird's eye view, it's easy to see the massive deforestation that's continuing today. Much of it is for the conversion of agriculture, oftentimes leading to extensive desertification of the land. When we clear-cut forests, especially the tropical or rainforests of the world, we bring extinction rates that are as high as we've seen since major earth calamities in the past. Plants, birds, butterflies, frogs go extinct every day. Species are going extinct. In our lust for palm oil, the Sumatran tiger is being pushed to the brink of extinction. There's less than 400 Sumatran tigers on Earth. Is it okay if we let them go away? Our noble cousins, our closest relatives on our family tree of life, orangutans, gorillas, bonobos, and chimpanzees, the ones who we stand to learn the most from in our in our genetic makeup, are threatened at every turn. In the Congo, bonobos are regularly eaten for bushmeat. Seems like cannibalism to me. Part of the deforestation problem is our trees for paper lunacy. Somewhere along the line, we were convinced by the profiteers that it makes more sense to invest huge amounts of energy and toxic chemicals to break down the tough fiber of wood to make paper to wipe our bum and print our computer, do our computer printing on. When several weed species that grow like weeds make fine or better paper for much less input and impact. Subsequently, the hemp plant is illegal. Laws making plants illegal are a direct violation of the book of Genesis. Not just because of deforestation, many species globally are in decline. A few examples. Worldwide, amphibians have been in great decline. They're being affected by a fungus called the chytrid fungus. A lot of mystery about that, a lot of studies going on, but bottom line is frogs, toads, salamanders, these animals that breathe through their skin, they do not have lungs. They breathe through their skin, are responding to a world, and they're dying. What about the bees? We've all heard about colony collapse disorder. Interesting to note that organic farmers, organic beekeepers, and biodynamic beekeepers are not experiencing the die-off that our conventional beekeepers are experiencing. There is some evidence, very preliminary and not very well documented yet, but there's some suggestion that our cell phone use might be jamming bees' signals. Not unlike the whales in the ocean whose signals are being jammed by our noise that we're putting into the water, we're using radio frequencies that other creatures need. Manatees are dying by the hundreds in Florida. Over 800 died last year. Dozens have already died this year. Are we okay when the manatees go extinct? Is that something we're going to be proud of? At what point is extinction a problem? How much sickness and dysfunction in the animal world is okay? Would we curtail our use of certain radio frequencies if it meant bees or whales could do their thing, and bees especially because they pollinate our food, I think, are kind of important. And the question could be raised, is extinction the result of the human activities? Well, we are currently experiencing rates of extinction that rival what Earth experienced only 4 or 5 times in its 4 billion year history, with cataclysms such as large asteroids smashing into Earth and changing the climate for thousands of years. I think it's pretty safe to say we have a hand in this. Well, it's good these problems are so far away out in the ocean or in the rainforest. Oh wait, we do need those bees to pollinate our crops to eat. And just 9 days ago, the deadly bat disease known as white nose syndrome was confirmed in Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We've already lost over 6 million bats in North America since 2006, so we might as well get used to more mosquitoes. And that dead zone, oh that's right, there's a dead zone in Green Bay too. Stretching from the mouth of Green Bay to Sturgeon Bay, Green Bay is dead. Is that okay? This is our bay. We're living with fish advisories across the Great Lakes region. Fish from the Fox River in Lake Michigan contain toxic levels of PCBs and industrial contaminants. And if you go fishing in the northern pristine lakes, they're all posted with fish advisories for mercury. Mercury that drops out of the atmosphere from coal-fired power plants out west. Where's the Clean Water Act? It's there, but it's not functioning very well in the 21st century. There are loopholes and a lack of enforcement. To add insult to injury, it is now okay in Wisconsin for high-capacity wells to suck groundwater down, lowering the water tables, drying up streams and wetlands. It's legal, it's okay, and it's encouraged because we are open for business. It's not just the quantity and the quality of our surface water right here in northeastern, that we worry about. Right here in northeastern Wisconsin, for some odd reason, we have concentrated confined animal feeding operations on a karst bedrock system that cannot handle the stress. Brown County and Kewaunee County have one of the greatest concentrations of confined animal feeding operations in the country. They built the CAFOs on karst. Karst is just fancy geology lingo for permeable Swiss cheese bedrock. Places where caves are formed. Well, it doesn't take a human-sized passageway to transfer a heck of a lot of waste into the drinking water. Our drinking water is imperiled. These CAFOs, combined confined animal feeding operations, are huge waste producers, producing sometimes tens of millions of animal waste in short periods of time. So what's the brilliant solution we're coming up with? Center pivot irrigation. We are now spraying animal sewage into the atmosphere in order to spread that nutrients back out into the field. We already know that bacteria blow on the wind. Antibiotics, synthetic hormones, bacteria, all coming to your lungs on the next breeze from the south. The profiteers say it's no problem and will cause no harm. Speaking of wind, on hot, humid summer days, the ozone and other pollutants from large urban areas to our south follow the lakeshore and make the air quality on the Door Peninsula equal to or worse than some of the worst air in the nation. This doesn't happen frequently, but every summer when we have a hot, humid summer day, our air quality is as bad as it is anywhere in the country when we think of the typical places where air can be bad. You don't hear the visitor bureau talking about that. Pollution rains down on us and blows in. What about the Clean Air Act? Also not functioning very adequately in the 21st century. We cannot have a discussion about the health of our planet without talking about the health of the carbon footprint of our food delivery system. Not to mention the carbon footprint of all the products we have bouncing around the globe. We used to make shoes and shirts and things right here, but now they come from the other side of the globe. All burning fossil fuels to get here. Why are we eating chickens raised in China? Last I heard, chickens grow up just fine here. Except if you feed them the poisoned groundwater. Why are we drinking wine from Australia or South Africa or even Europe? We have perfectly delicious, wonderful, some organic wines right here in the state or in the Midwest. Why would we ever import something as easy to grow as lettuce from California or anywhere further away? And even when locally raised, the carbon footprint of animal meat is much higher than that of a more vegetarian diet. Our appetites are fueling the mad scramble for the last of the dirty fuels. There are 7 billion of us and growing. Are we all going to expect to live in a 3,000 square foot house, own 2 cars, and eat at McDonald's? If all 7 billion people on planet Earth were to live at these modern standards, estimates are we would need 5 more planet Earths just to supply the resources. Anybody seeing a problem with this equation? There is no equal sign in that equation. Equals disaster is what it equals. Doesn't take a college degree to recognize the collision course that we humans are on. We are squeezing the life out of the planet, and in doing so, we are the source of our own suffering. And not because we need to, because we listen to the profiteers and do as they say. We are fouling our own nest, drowning in inefficiency. There is enough for all. No human mouth need go hungry. No child need shiver in the cold of night. The scarcity we are experiencing is merely a construct of the profiteers to keep us fighting amongst ourselves, scrabbling for the best morsels. We are on the ark already. We are living in paradise. We have everything we need. Bounty abounds. It's simply a question of inequitable distribution. Our ark is not static. It is dynamic and moving. We are floating downstream, merrily, bobbing along. We're having a ball. We have luxuries, entertainment, golf, movies, the movie stars, nice cars, the freedom of the interstate highway system. We are lost in distraction, watching TV and movies, buried in our electronic devices, going to concerts and sporting events. All of these things are increasingly removing us from contact and interaction with the earth and our fellow travelers. The stream we're floating in is speeding up. There are rapids ahead, potentially a waterfall, maybe a big one. There are many warning signs, some subtle, some not, that are going largely ignored. Are we going to be dancing as they did when Rome burned? Bottom line, we are not living sustainably, and we may be in for a very rude awakening. Is all this alarm and panic and negativity really necessary? Humans are smart. Our engineers will surely find out a solution. They'll fix it. So yeah, how are the humans doing? How is our human family doing? From that bird's eye view again, we see endless conflict and warfare. War and suffering and destruction. Destruction of people, destruction of culture, destruction of history, destruction of wisdom, destruction of the environment. There are more child soldiers now than probably ever. It doesn't take much to pull the trigger. Most of the warfare on planet Earth is bought and paid for by the good old US of A, the freest country on the planet. Our military budget is the largest of any nation. It is in fact larger than every other nation on planet Earth combined. Those are our tax dollars. The profiteers are very happy making record profits from the culture of war. Halliburton makes the bullets, and they make the Band-Aids. They're also very pleased to profit on the culture of incarceration. For years now, our great nation of hope has had a greater percentage of our population behind prison bars than any other nation on the planet. Free nation indeed. And who was that president warning us of the rise of the military industrial complex as he left the White House? We are not so free as the central bank and their corporate bedfellows would have us believe. We are slaves to a fractional reserve banking system that is based on scarcity and debt. We are debt slaves. The central banks create money out of thin air. They pass the debt to the government, who passes it on to us. The profiteers have become increasingly wealthy without doing anything. They want us to stay sweating on the debt-building treadmill, chasing the carrot, staying distracted and not asking questions. They want us to believe a lot of things. While the obvious limitations are ignored, they want us to believe our insatiable resource consumption is good for us and good for our culture. They want us to believe in false flag operations that stoke the juvenile, egotistic fires of revenge and payback that inspire people to war so they may profit. They want us to believe the lie that a U.S. ship was fired on in the Gulf of Tonkin by the communists all those years ago in Vietnam. Or believe the folly that 2 commercial airliners brought 3 high-rise skyscrapers crumbling to the ground into piles of dust at near free fall speed on that horrible morning 11 September 2001. They want us to believe the endless proliferation of untested synthetic chemicals and estrogen compounds, etc., spread into the environment and into our bodies is good for us. Are we buying it? Are we healthy? Are we truly happy? Is endless war against a vague concept, terrorism, something we really believe in as a nation and as a people? Are rampant school shootings characteristic of a healthy society? Are our levels of stress, hypertension, and disease where we want to be? Are 342 documented cases of child abuse and neglect in Door County in 2013 okay with us? The human family is suffering, whether by force of warfare or the freedom promised by modernization. We are losing human diversity. Like the extinguishment of plants and animals that seems to be going on unabated, human languages and culture are going extinct every year. The wisdom of hundreds of centuries of human experiences, cultural knowledge, and different perspectives on our shared human experience are being snuffed out, often before their stories have even been brought to the table. We are losing the threads in the rich tapestry that is our human culture. It may indeed be the greatest irony of our times that as a nation, the good old US of A, the self-declared leaders of the free world, have been trying so hard and for so long to exterminate the Indian people of this continent. All the while, they are the very ones who can help us remember how to live sustainably. Our system is broken. Our culture is diseased. Our society is unsustainable. Our world is diminished by our unbridled, egotistical greed. So the waters around our ark are rising and moving faster. We are picking up speed. Is the calamity over the falls inevitable? I don't think so. Human society is merely in its pubescence. Can you remember what it was like when you were a scattered, unsure, insecure, arrogant, hormonal, egotistical 13-year-old? And how different, evolved, and grown up you feel now? Well, humanity is experiencing a transformation at least as profound as that, and maybe more so. We are entering a new age. Age with a capital A. Our growing understanding of quantum physics and deep space are radically altering our understanding of the cosmos and our place in it. Students of sacred geometry are paralleling and in some cases informing scientists on the nature of matter. All matter, all atoms, including the atoms in our bodies, might just be built up of little packets of energy. We are star stuff. We are breathing air expelled by the dinosaurs. Our bones are made from atoms built in stars that exploded billions of years ago, seeding the universe. Energy is all around us and within us. We are not tethered to the profiteer's narrow idea of ourselves or our future. We are entering a new age. Moses, the ram, ushered out the age of Taurus. Remember that golden calf, golden bull? And he brought us the age of Aries. Jesus the Christ was the symbolic, mythic figure who brought us the age of Pisces. And right on schedule, the age of Aquarius is upon us. They weren't just singing a hippy-dippy song, folks. The age of Aquarius is real. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, whether you want to participate in it or not, we are entering a new age. And the good news? Our ark can fly. We have marginalized and suppressed sustainable knowledge for the solitary gain of the greedy few at the top of the pyramid. We have all participated, and we continue to. Unless we wake up. Until we wake up. Out of blind habit, we've been supporting inefficient infrastructures that do not need to exist at all. Those with the knowledge of sustainable living know the ark can fly and know how to work the ark's flying mechanisms. Those voices are getting louder, awakening the divine Christ energy in all of us. Our ark of bounty belongs to each of us, and we are all responsible for her sustainable operation. I would like to read a quote from Marianne Williamson that I hope some of you, or many of you, or maybe all of you are familiar with. It's a powerful little prayer. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and famous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Marianne Williamson. Every one of us, all 7 billion people on the planet, embody the divine. Each one of us is a living miracle. The Spirit of Christ, the Christ consciousness exists in every one of us. We are all called to our higher self. Today, as we celebrate Easter, the roots of which welcome spring and worship the Sumerian fertility goddess Ishtar, Easter, I submit to you that Jesus was not just one man, one person, one divine being. Every one of us is Jesus. Take time in your daily life to realign with the divine energy within you and the collective consciousness of the universe. However you do it, align with the flow. The nice thing is you don't even have to go with it. You can just align with it and let the flow go by you. Be streamlined. Be efficient. Everything will work out. Lighten your load. Nurture yourself and your sphere of influence daily. We are beings of light. We are divine. We can accomplish anything. The combined power of our divinity is unquenchable and unstoppable. We can do anything, and we will. I would like to ask you to indulge me in a little exercise of community. If you would all please stand and grab hands with your neighbors. I'd like us to form a continuous loop throughout the entire room, so I'm not sure how I'm going to fit into this. We can. All right. Is everybody connected?
You bet.
I ask you to close your eyes and breathe. And feel how that breath enters your lungs, how it makes you feel. Breathe in the oxygen that plants burped out for you. Breathe out that CO2. The air you're breathing has been shared by billions of creatures for billions of years. Feel your energy. Feel the collective energy in this room. Happy Easter, happy Ishtar, Happy Earth Day. Thank you.